SoCal Prep Report is out in the South Bay today. A little windy out here at Carson High School. You know, the Colts won their opener, a very good football game against Southeast, 38-36. We're going to talk about that game in a moment. Randy Rosenblum joined, as always, by the legendary Eric Sotheimer of the Los Angeles Times. I know, Eric, you were witness to IMG from Bradenton, Florida, coming out to play Corona Centennial, a 50-49 victory from the team from Florida.
It's very rare that probably one of the best games all season has already been played, and that's what this game was like. Centennial took the lead with 1:06 left, and then IMG was able to drive the length of this field and get a game-winning touchdown and a two-point conversion to win it all. It was IMG, which had players from 26 different states. They're an all-star team taking on Centennial, led by Coach Matt Logan. Great game. I think Centennial will get a lot out of it. But, of course, IMG was able to pull it out because they just have the best talent.
They have great talent. By the way, we'll have highlights of that game a little later in the show with Rich Estrella on our Southern Section report. All right, let's go into the city. Narbonne up against a Southern Section power at Long Beach Poly. It was all Poly in the first half, but the second half, the Gauchos bounced back, win the game 25-13, and outscore the Rabbits 19-0 in the second half.
Yeah, the defense really took charge. Narbonne has the best group of linebackers, I think, anywhere, and Anthony Pandy and Raymond Scott were tremendous. Jalen Chapman got hot in the second half, and Narbonne just really cut down on its mistakes and looked like the likely city championship team they are. They get to play Palos Verdes this week, and I think if they can get by Palos Verdes, they're going to really be on a run.
In Cameron, Denmark, another 2 touchdowns for the fine running back at Narbonne High School in the victory. All right, let's move ahead and talk about the game that was right here. 38-36 Carson in a shootout in their opener against a very good Southeast team.
Well, it really was Tyler Washington. He's 5'7", 135 pounds. He returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. It was a wild game. Southeast played really well. Norman, their quarterback, had a great game. So I think both schools will get a lot out of that game.
Yeah, Norman ran for over 250 yards in the game, but it wasn't enough for Southeast. Let's talk about Venice High School. They played a tremendous game against El Camino at home, but they came up short. And guess what? ECR got a great road win.
Well, ECR got 4 transfers eligible from Texas, so that kind of helps them.
The Hawkins kids.
Yeah, the Hawkins-related family, so that really was a big difference. But I really like Luca Diamant, the freshman quarterback from Venice. His brother was a great quarterback at Venice, and Luca one day is going to be the best quarterback in the city. The fact that he's playing already as a 15-year-old freshman is really an achievement. And down the road, when they get to play in the Western League, he's going to be one of those players. And they also have a great running back who's coming on strong, Venice does.
Of course, we saw Alexander Diamant, the older brother, perform so beautifully at Venice. He's now a backup quarterback in the Big Ten at the University of Indiana. I know this is another game you were at, and you were very busy this past weekend. Garfield hosting Banning, and I love this Banning team. I've liked them from the beginning of the year, and they won handily.
Yeah, John Aponte has done a great job. 4th year. Sultan Molala.
No. Sultan Moala.
Okay, thank you. I'm terrible on pronouncing it. He's got a terrific junior player, and then Joe Villarreal is another good running back, and then the quarterback's good, Porter. I was just so impressed with the coaching. But Garfield also is going to be fine. They got some good young players. I really like their running backs, and most of all, I enjoyed the concessions at Garfield. They had 13 fruit drinks, which I've never seen so many fruit drinks available. Everybody was enjoying.
We're talking football, and he's talking fruit drinks.
Everybody was having a great time, and Lorenzo Hernandez, we thank him for his
fruit drinks. Are you kidding me?
For his hospitality.
Talk about a little fruity. How about Manual Arts and Panorama? What's going on there? The officials don't show, and the game is canceled.
Yeah, very sad. They never got a sign because apparently the officials at Manual Arts never informed the officials that the game had been changed from Friday to Thursday. This has got to be worked out because kids lost out. The game ended up being canceled, so everybody's down to 9 regular season games. So very sad that the adults couldn't get their act together on communication.
You know, I wrote down all these teams that are 2-0, but I'm not going to go over all of them. I do want to talk about San Fernando, who won against Arleta, and boy, is Arleta having trouble. They've given up 107 points and have not scored in the first 2 weeks. But Josh Garcia, the quarterback for the Tigers, throws 5 touchdowns.
Well, that was against Taft. They beat Arleta, and now they've beaten Taft. And San Fernando, you knew that they were going to be better because they had a 10-0 JV team, and they played a lot of freshmen and sophomores the last 2 years. So Robert Garcia is back on going well. Remember, they lost Chris Sotelo, the former quarterback's now in Nevada, and so it took them 2 years to replace him. And Josh Garcia, looks like right now he's taking over. So I think San Fernando has a chance to make a big run if they can get through Uni this week.
Yeah, people might forget San Fernando won city titles in 2012 and 2013 when Chris was their quarterback. All right, we're going to step out. When we come back, we're going to talk Carson High School football. Fourth-year head coach Kevin McCall is going to be here. We've got a lot of guests. In fact, he's going to bring a lot of his players on set today. We'll be back with that right after this on SoCal Prep Report.
Exploring LA County's trails is now a click away. A mobile-friendly trail locator lets you discover all our county's scenic hikes. It features an interactive map that takes you inside the trail. From the elevation to the temperature, what you need to know is at your fingertips. Wondering if your dog, horse, or bike is welcome? It has that too. So discover some of LA's best-kept secrets and happy trails to you.
Well, it wasn't easy for head coach Kevin McCall in his fourth year with a 38-36 victory over Southeast in the opener. He has with him his junior free safety, Pele Pereira, who had an interception against the Jags. Coach, congratulations on a 38-36 victory.
Well, thank you.
Talk about the game a little bit. It was hard-earned. I mean, it was a very difficult game for you to win. Your special teams came through big.
Yes, we are starting 9 new players on defense, and this was their first game experience, and they missed a lot of tackles. But they was one of those defense bend but don't break, and we was able to pull it off at the end of the game.
Now, Pele, you had an interception. Tell us about that play. It came early in the game.
Well, it just happened to be there for me. I came up on the ball, made a play on the ball. My blockers were there for me, and I went to the 30-yard line. I got tackled, but it's good. It's cool.
Coach McCall, you're really high on Pele, even though his name is he's not after the soccer player, but he's a pretty good football player.
Yes, he is, and he's a good holder for our kicker. So if we can put a little soccer to it, he's the holder. He's a very good student, 4.0 GPA. He's being recruited by Cal and a couple of other big schools. We're just glad to have him on our side.
Yeah, Pele, what did you learn from this first game? Because there was a lot of pressure. You guys had to come through as a team and then you as an individual. What are some of the things you learned off this first game?
Well, I learned that we need to play as a team for all 4 quarters. Because we started off a little slow, we missed some tackles, but as soon as the second half came around, we started to play more as a team, and we pulled it off.
Right, and Coach McCall, you have a big game this week against Hawkins, one of the top teams, probably number 1 in Division II. They have so many Division I prospects. Everybody thinks that they are one of the best teams in Southern California, but they have never played Carson, and you guys have a Division I tradition. Is that something you're going to try and use to help you guys?
Most definitely. I have a very young team. We're a Division I team, and Hawkins has a lot of D1 talent, and that was the reason I gave them a call, and they accept, and I'm glad to see that they're number 1 in the city. We're used to playing the big game. We're going to see how well they do Friday night.
Right. I want to talk about your quarterback. I saw him as a 14-year-old freshman last year, Jaja Bellinger. He handled the duties well. How's he look as a sophomore?
Jaja is one of our most experienced guys on offense, and even though he's a sophomore, he played 8 games last year. He played really well in game 1. He got hit and knocked down by some big guys and got up. He's running our offense. He's getting us out of bad plays into good plays, and he's throwing the ball really well. He just got to spread it around a little more.
Pele, I want to get into your assignments and what you do as a free safety. And I always say the best things in life are free, and that's why we love free safeties. But tell us your assignments. What do you try to get done on the field as a free safety?
Well, I gotta come up and make a play. If I see the ball coming my way, I gotta make a play because I'm the last line of defense. I also gotta see if they're throwing over me. I can't let nothing get past me. I gotta be there for my teammates, and then I just gotta make a play on the ball.
And Coach, obviously you're in the very difficult Marine League. Narbonne's the defending city champion. Banning's come out of the gate very quickly. Your thoughts about your team's chances in the Marine League?
Well, one thing I speak to my team about, we always go 1 week at a time. Banny is our first league game, and then Narbonne is the second. So I haven't took a good look at them, but from afar, Narbonne is the number 1 team in the city until someone beat them.
Well, guys, thanks for stopping by. It wasn't too difficult on your beautiful field here. Good luck on Friday night against Hawkins.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Jaquarian Bellinger. Yeah, I know, he goes by Jaja, the quarterback, the 15-year-old quarterback here at Carson High School. All right, how'd you get the nickname Jaja?
My auntie, Sophia Pinkney, she didn't know how to pronounce my first name, Jaquarian, so she just made up a nickname, Jaja, and that's how I got it.
Everyone, remarks that when they see you play, they love your leadership. Where does that leadership come from as a quarterback?
Well, it comes from baseball, and both with my coaches always choosing me to be the captain and lead the team. For baseball and my travel ball team, I've always played with older kids, so pretty much my coaches just prepared me to become a leader in both sports.
Yes, Coach McCall is very happy with your quarterback, but I think you're one of the best young baseball players in the city section, and you've been playing a long time, and I know they love you in football, but you love baseball.
Yeah, well, baseball pretty much, at first, when I first started out, I didn't like it. Then my dad just kept telling me to go back out and keep doing it. And then eventually with my coach, Eric Aldridge, he just kept helping me and developing me with baseball. So then eventually I just started to love the sport.
Right, you're a shortstop, and how tall are you?
5'11".
Right, you're going to be very good next year, but you're also good in football. But stay safe because they need you for baseball and stuff.
Let's get back to football. You got this big game coming up against Hawkins. You got a big offensive wall in front of you. That protects you, a veteran crew. But what are you going to need to do against Hawkins? You scored a lot of points to win the opener against Southeast. Now you're facing a Hawkins team that figures to be very, very tough.
With the Hawkins team, we just have to believe in ourselves, and hopefully our linemen will be able to do what they did last game, give me enough time to throw the ball, and then just allow me to take my reads and just deliver the ball to my players.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. You were helped out a little bit by Mr. Tyler Washington last week with those kickoff returns, but best of luck this week against a very good Jaguar team.
Thank you.
All right. That's it. He's the quarterback. That is Jaja Bellinger. He's outstanding here at Carson.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
All this junior did, Tyler Washington, is return 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in the opener against Southeast. 75 and 80 yards. All right, take us through the first one. Which was the first, the 75 or the 80?
The 75.
All right, take us through the 75-yarder. Give us like a guide as you take us through and traverse the field.
Mm-hmm. Well, at first I dropped the ball, and I knew I had to do something since I dropped the ball, and I picked it up, and a lot of people blocked for me, and it was just a touchdown for them.
The second one, the 80-yarder. Take us through that one.
Well, I already had confidence from the first one, so and this time I caught the ball,
Okay.
and I had to do just a little bit of work, but my team still blocked for me, and I was able to get in the end zone.
And Tyler, you're an example of what makes Carson so great in the city section. Your father played here. His name is Lenny. He was a quarterback. Your uncle, Al Washington, one of the best players ever at Carson, went on to USC, was a quarterback. Now you're here. Explain that tradition and how you've grown up with Carson Coast football.
Well, my dad, he's just telling me about the things that he did, and that how he was a leader on the team, and not being selfish, and that's just making it's a role model for me. So I really don't feel much pressure.
Right. And the fact you're only 5'7" and 135 pounds, and you've already returned 2 kickoffs, it really gives inspiration for kids that they can find a spot to play football.
Yeah. It is kind of overwhelming a little bit when you see a bigger guy, but you just have to not think about it and trust in yourself and trust in the ability that God has given you.
When you're not returning kicks, what do you do on the field? You play defensive back? Are you a wide receiver? Do you do both?
Yeah, I played wide receiver for our offense.
You go home, you score 2 touchdowns. You're in your junior year, so you're really just getting used to the varsity game. What was that like, being kind of the hero of the opening game, scoring the 2 touchdowns when you went back home?
Well, I'm not really a big-headed person. I'm more humble, and I just try not to be cocky, and just not let any fame or anything get to me.
Yeah, but your teammates had to love you. I mean, you bailed them out with the 2 long kick returns.
Yeah, but they also helped me too. They blocked for me, so. Yeah.
How excited are you to play Hawkins this week? We all know, and Eric's talked about it on the previous segment, that Hawkins is a powerful team, probably the best one in Division II. They're coming up, but they got all these great Division I athletes you're going to go up against.
Well, I'm just really thinking about me and my team. I'm not really thinking about them. I'm just focusing on what I can do and what our team can do.
Well, we look forward to watching you throughout the season. You excited about playing against Narbonne down the road, and Banning and San Pedro, some really good teams in the Marine League.
Yeah, but we try to focus on what's coming up right now.
That's Hawkins. Well, Tyler, congratulations on a fabulous first game and the 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns, and best of luck in your junior season.
Okay, thank you.
He's humble, but he's very good on the football field. He's junior Tyler Washington here at Carson High School. We're going to step out. When we come back, the man of the southern section, Rich Estrella. He has a report for you right after this.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. You can't control where it will land, only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how to protect your community from wildfires.
Hi everybody, and welcome to the Southern Section Report. I'm Rich Estrella, and today I'm joined by my broadcast partner on the franchise, Mr. Bob Gibson. Bob, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me in. Appreciate it.
Bob, you're also doubled as one of the announcers for the Trinity League.
Yeah.
So tell us about your station. What are you guys doing? What's going on, man? Exciting times for you in prep football.
AM 1000, I'm doing a talk show about the Trinity League. Tune in, AM 1000, Catholic Sports Talk.
Good.
And it's focused on the Trinity League.
All right.
That's the league we're talking about.
Well,
because that's where all the action happens, right? I mean,
Bob,
every year the focus goes right in on the Trinity League.
The Trinity League is one of the top leagues in the country. So of course you're going to talk about it. Of course they're going to have their own radio network. And if they were going to do that, Bob, you'd be the guy.
Well, I appreciate it.
So here we go. All right, let's talk about some of the games. It's still the preseason. There's no league races to talk about. There's really not a lot to talk about in terms of that. However, there's some great ball games out there. In the last week of the Honor Bowl, the game we told you would be fantastic ended up getting the moniker as the greatest high school football game ever played. We're talking about the IMG All-Star Football Academy in Florida, #1 team in the country, going up against Corona Centennial. A 50-49 game, won in the last minute of the ball game. Yeah. It seems like there's just a who's who going to college from the IMG guys in Florida. And then you have Corona Centennial, as you described, a neighborhood team taking on the Giants and almost knocking them out.
Well, you almost have to go back to like 1997. It just came to mind when I saw this one. Santa Margarita with Carson Palmer and Huston High School, another neighborhood school, had Deshaun Foster. Played at UCLA and the Carolina Panthers back in the day, and they went back and forth in a CIF playoff game, and the last man standing was Santa Margarita that won that game. This kind of reminded me of that because Centennial, they were just throwing haymakers back and forth with IMG. Centennial went down, thought they scored the winning touchdown. IMG comes back, gets their touchdown with just seconds to go. They punch in the 2-point conversion. I mean, how much better of an ending do you need down there? And the Honor Bowl is such a well-run event down there. So much fun down in San Diego. So many great games, but what a way to cap it off than to have those two great teams. And it just shows you how good Matt Logan and that Centennial program is to hang with a virtual college all-star team like IMG is.
Well, what's the amazing thing, too, about Logan's team this year is Corona Centennial had 2 starters on offense and 2 starters on defense coming back. Not something you would expect from a team that's ranked nationally.
But you never count out a Centennial Husky team.
No,
you can never count that team.
You cannot do that.
It's the program that Matt Logan has instituted there, and he gets all the great talent around the city of Corona. Let's face it, all the good kids from that Inland Empire area. They're going to want to try to
I
get
don't blame 'em.
into that's right. I mean,
No.
where else would you want to play? Kids are moving into that neighborhood
Absolutely.
just so they can go to that school. And you have to live in the neighborhood to go to school there. We mentioned it's a neighborhood school. Kids are going there because that's where they want to play. And Matt Logan's one of the best in the entire nation, I think.
The top 2 tiers of wide receivers with the IMG Academy are already promised. Texas A&M, and they've already signed their deals. They're Scallies, as they call them nowadays. Corona Centennial, Xavier Marshall was the leading receiver for Corona this past week and caught 14 passes for 230 yards. That's big time right there. That's Division I college type.
Look, if you go to the
prospect.
Max Preps, top 20 national rankings, IMG's third. So I
Right.
mean, here's a school that comes in out of Bradenton, Florida. As we mentioned, it's like a college all-star team in a way. You mentioned all the kids that are already signed, sealed, and delivered to where they're going, and to have Centennial basically be within seconds away of beating a team like that. I mean, it just shows you that the southern section is just full of talent.
There's 5 national polls, and they were at the top 2 of them. The top 2 of the polls is number 1, so I'll go with that. Also, Tanner McKee, the quarterback, 370 yards, 4 yards passing, 2 interceptions, but still a good night for him as well. Because he had 14, 3 touchdowns to McKee earlier in the evening, so he did quite well.
Again, that's that balanced system. I mean, they throw it around, and the kids never make mistakes in that Centennial system.
Right.
They just don't make mistakes. They don't fumble. They don't throw interceptions. Every kid knows right where he has to be, and the play's always made. It's just uncanny.
Miles Reed, the running back, 179 yards on 41 carries. Wow. 41 carries. You figure the average high school game, you might have 83 plays, and it's literally 83, 82 maybe. And this guy carries half the carries on offense. This guy's running the ball.
And at 50-50, that's exactly what they want to do there.
Some great balance. Okay, so anyways, one of the greatest ball games they're saying ever played. It's hard to agree. Coming up for Corona Centennial is still number 1 in our top 10. They're going to take on Orange Lutheran this week. I feel bad for Orange Lou, especially the way La Mirada handled them a couple of weeks ago. Now they got to face Corona Centennial.
I tell you, it's tough. As they focus in on the Trinity League, I mean, it's Bosco and Mater Dei, or is it Mater Dei Bosco? I mean, you could flip a coin between those 2 teams at the top. Now you're talking about who's the 3rd best team in the conference. Probably Jay Serra, and Orange Lutheran always seems to get bounced down, even though Chuck Peterson has come in. He's been there a few years. He's instituted his program, and Olu just hasn't been able to get over that hump. I mean, they've never been able to get to that top rung of the Trinity. They've played some of the top teams. They've hung in there with a lot of the top teams.
It's going to be a while, Bob.
But they don't become one of the top teams. It's tough for them. It's tough for Olu to get back there, and the Trinity is just so darn tough every year.
Well, Mater Dei and Bosco both still ranked number 3 in the country. They're both tied. They're going to meet at some point this season. They're in the same league. And so they're going to meet. One of them's going to drop out. One of them's going to continue on. This week, Mater Dei is going to play La Mirada at the Santa Ana Bowl. What are your thoughts on that game?
No, I love that game. I'm actually going to be calling that game for the Mater Dei Sports Network. I think it's a great matchup. I think La Mirada is a lot better team than many people are going to give them credit for coming into that game. And I still think Mater Dei wins the game probably fairly easily because Mater Dei's been putting up point total 63 in their opener and 63 in game 2, 63-14 and 63-0.
Right.
So over 120 points.
But they weren't playing the IMG Academy.
You're right. And La Mirada is a much better team than that. And La Mirada is battle tested now for the gauntlet they're playing the first couple of weeks.
Orange Lutheran,
and
they won, and then last week they lost to Bosco. But who's not going to lose to Bosco this year?
They hung in with Bosco. That was only 21-0 Bosco through 3 quarters. You don't think La Mirada made a good showing there?
No, absolutely.
They made a great showing against a great Trinity League nationally ranked team like St. John Bosco.
Some of the marquee games this week, which normally would be a marquee game, would be the SERVITE game this week. They're going to be playing Concord de la Salle. It's not a good game this year. SERVITE lost last week to Amat, who got beat earlier this week by Mater Dei or Bosco or somebody. They got trounced. So for SERVITE to lose, it looks like it's not going to bode well this week against De La Salle.
SERVITE's another program just trying to get their footing back in the Trinity. Not getting quite the caliber of athlete they were getting a few years back when they were the top team in the Trinity League and winning CIF titles.
Gorman and Bosco seems to be the most intriguing game of the week. Gorman's not really Gorman this year. I mean, they don't have all the guys coming back, but they're still Bishop Gorman.
Right.
Gorman's still atop the national polls every year, and there's no reason to believe they should be out this year.
And
they play that quality schedule, Bob.
I agree. I mean, Bishop Gorman, always one of the top programs. I mean, you're right. If you don't want to talk about a program and what a program can do, that counts a lot. So maybe you don't have the quite caliber of athlete you've had in the past, but the program can sometimes carry you through, with kids who know what they're doing. But I think Bosco wins that football game, and I think Bosco leaps everybody and becomes the top-ranked team in the nation after this week.
All right, and the stranger things that happened file. We have Valley Christian 61, Bellflower 14. Why is this score significant? Well, Mike Fitch is the head coach at Bellflower. He retired a few years back, decided he would come back, give another go. Retirement's boring. Got news for everybody. Valley Christian, Woody Grayson was Mike Fitch's assistant. He's now the head coach at Valley Christian. They finally play. Woody puts his foot on the pedal, blows Fitch's team out. I don't know what's going on with those guys. I thought they loved each other. What's with this coaching brotherhood, Bob?
Sometimes some of these coaching legends, they retire and they go, yeah, Myron Miller at Tustin High School.
Yeah.
Tustin's a team that has, won CIF titles. Myron Miller's a legend, that double wing attack that he runs every year. He decided, you know what? I'm going to come back. There's an opening at Tustin. He's the AD. I'm going to be the football coach.
Give it a shot.
So he brings that offense back into Tustin one more time.
All right, Bob, let's take a look at the top 10 this week now, heading into week number 3. And take a look at the top. Corona Centennial does not slip for losing the IMG Academy by 1 point. They remain number 1, followed by Bosco, who beat up on La Mirada this week 34-0. La Mirada, of course, had that big opening week against your boys at Olu there, Bob.
It's a no-brainer, I think, in the top 3. Centennial, Bosco, Mater Dei. I don't think you can argue that, if you want to exchange a couple of teams there, be my guest, I think. But I think Centennial definitely has shown they are the top team. But like I said, Bosco, Mater Dei, October 21st, they're going to figure out who's better of those
figure out who's better of those two. Number 4 is Vista Marietta, followed by Calabasas, Oaks Christian, J. Serra, Rancho Cucamonga, Mission Viejo, and then Hawkins of LA still on top. Man, they blew somebody out this week by like 40 points. It was great.
Yeah, again,
shut them out.
The city section,
Hawkins going to be a good story.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I know they're in the city section, man, but we got to give them some love. This is a newer school. These guys are making things happen already. It's exciting times out there in the LA city sections with Hawkins. They're going to stay. They're in our top 10 until they lose, man, and they ain't going to lose anytime soon. All right, Bob. Well, listen, I'd like to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
On the Southern Section Report, and we'll see what happens this week, man. Good luck calling your game.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's
Hopefully that game's competitive, man. I just hope it's
think
competitive.
it will be. I think La Mirada is going to hang with Mater Dei. I really do. I think they'll hang for a while there.
All right. On behalf of Bob Gibson, I'm Rich Estrella, saying so long from your friends here at the Southern Section Report. See you next week.
If you're looking for an incredible experience, meet a shelter pet and adopt. They make super pets who will enrich your life and steal your heart. Adopt and bring home a shelter pet today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
In the last couple minutes, I want to mention a few games that are coming up this weekend. Of course, at Narbonne, Gauchos try to go 3-0 against Palos Verdes. They're also 2-0.
Yeah, this is a great game because Palos Verdes is always underestimated. They beat Corona Del Mar in their opener. It's a very good team. Narbonne needs to play well and without mistakes, or otherwise they could lose. I still think they're going to win this game. This one's on Time Warner Cable. I know you're going to do the game. I wish I could be there, but I'm going to Bishop Amon.
I'll give you a ride if you want to go.
I'm going to see Bishop Gorman play St. John Bosco. That's one of the great games of the year.
How about the game here, Carson and Hawkins?
Hawkins certainly is the advantage, but I think that Carson is capable of pulling out an upset if the defense improves. But Hawkins is so good on offense, it could be a shootout, and Hawkins would win in a shootout.
Dorsey at Serra. Now, Serra of Gardena is struggling against a very tough schedule. Does Dorsey have a shot?
Even though they're 0-3, Serra, they are a very good 0-3 team. I like Serra, but this will be a good game for Dorsey to get them ready for the Coliseum League.
How about Garfield at Harvard-Westlake in another intersectional?
Yeah, Harvard-Westlake's a very good private school. They're in the Angeles League. I think this will be a tough one for Garfield.
Your Poly Parrots, they beat Bernstein last week. All right, they're 1-1 after losing to St. Genevieve, but the Parrots are 1-1, and they play at Westchester, and the Comets is surprising 2-0.
Westchester will be 3-0. I really like Westchester the way they're playing right now. However, if this was baseball, I would take Poly.
No, you mentioned to Jaja Bellinger about baseball.
Yeah,
enough.
Thank you for putting a good shortstop on the air. Okay. It's about time.
We're leaving the air. For Eric Sotheimer.
Do you want to know who's going to win the city baseball title?
I'm Randy Rosenblum from Windy Carson. We'll see you next time right here on SoCal Prep Report. I'm definitely sure.